Okay, so I just watched Don's video, so I'm trying to knock this out. And I saw Jay's video like an hour and a half ago. I think maybe if I do it quicker, there's less chance of me to forget things. So I'll start with Don. Don, the person who was preaching, he was preaching in a, was it a Home Depot you were at? A Home Depot parking lot? Absolutely unacceptable. That right there, like, unless I'm missing something, people preaching, like, who, shut the fuck up. Who gives a shit about what you believe in and your shit? What if I went out to Walmart's parking lot tonight and started preaching about fucking UFOs? And how I think that, maybe they planted us here thousands and millions of years ago. What if I was out there preaching that? Why is it? I mean, keep your shit beliefs to your fucking self. There's churches for that shit. Number two, Don. Don, I was hoping for an update on Henry's status of last week's baseball game, and I'm assuming he's had another football game. I hope that went better. Give us an update on that. But maybe you don't watch these because I also really, I mean, listen, everything I'm saying right now is said with no animosity. It just said what I believe in, and I feel strongly that Don, I mean, gun to my head, I'm saying you rarely watch these videos. Even the ones that you picked, like you picked the Billy Preston one. I really don't think you watch the whole thing. I think you get a good. It's like when you watch a movie. I know how it's gonna end, and you watch the videos. You didn't even mention. Okay, what do you say? That's just two examples of how. Which you're not wrong. You didn't even mention the other song. You didn't even Depeche Depeche Mode. Joe Pesci didn't even mention that. He just it's so good, so good, and you won't come clean. Like just say like, I know how it ends. I get 30 to 40 seconds of the song and I'm good. I don't need it all. So that thought made me laugh. Did you say what you were doing at that store? I don't know. But anyways, if you are watching, would you be so kind as to let us know how Henry's sporting events have gone last week? There's so much college. There's actually too much college football on Saturdays. There's too much. And well, that being said, I am shocked. Notre Dame, and I didn't even know Notre Dame was done with NBC. Notre Dame had their own network on NBC for 30 years. Not only are they not on NBC anymore, well, I mean, I guess technically, they're on fucking Peacock today. There's so many people that aren't going to watch Notre Dame football, which to me is fine, but it's fucking Notre Dame. I think that's amazing that Notre Dame is on fucking Peacock today against Louisville. They're not playing fucking Bowling Green. Anyway, there was Don. Jim. We go to Jim. Jim, I'm talking to my doorknob. Hey, doorknob. Did you watch these videos or did you just listen to them? Because the fact that you, Jim slash doorknob, didn't mention any of the legends in that Billy Preston video, I was shocked. So I'm guessing you didn't watch that either. So maybe we'll just submit audios. Just submit audio songs or maybe like TikTok TikTok audio, like 20 to 30 seconds of songs. TikTok video fights we should do. But Jim, sounds like you had a really good time. You actually looked and sounded happier than ever. So I'm glad that you did that. Um, your your impression of your sports teams is at an all-time low. I feel like every year it gets lower. Um, I mean, the Giants aren't great, but you seemed like you were actually shocked that they were in that game. I mean, Dallas is just ordinary. Giants were home Thursday night. I actually enjoyed watching that game, except for the fucking flags. There were so many flags in that game; it was almost hard to watch. But it sounds like you had a good time with Kevin. He's always been a good dude. I liked Kevin. I used to coach basketball with him when his son Kevin and Josh played. That was really fun with him. It was me, Kevin, and Ryan Hickey. It was fun. And of course, bowling with him was fun. And you, of course, and Corbett. So it sounds like you got caught up, which is always good. Um, what else did Jim say? Oh, that ride home from Kevin's house, that 2 hour drive, I would have been nervous because 25 hours you were awake, and the last two driving that long drive by yourself. Uh, Obviously, you did it, but that had to be rough. As far as that guy you hung out with over there, his name is Nick Martin, and I knew Nick. I heard of Nick. Nick was a really good athlete. He was a quarterback for RFA, and years later, I ended up playing softball with him. Um, I played on so many softball teams. There might have been a Nat or was it Nat Filippini? Who's it Filippini that ran the insurance? Marcus Filippini. I, and he had his garage team from the pizza place, and I played a year of softball with Nick. So that's how if I saw Nick, I wouldn't talk to him, but I knew Nick a little bit that summer. I was a pretty good kid. Um, Jay, Jay, I'm glad you liked it. So, because you said that this is going to be my winner, but you also said I wonder what my last submission that you thought my Rolling Stones, forget the name of the fucking song. You like the Rolling Stones one, so do you like the Rolling Stones song or this one better? I'm glad you got your power back. That had to feel like fucking forever. Holy shit. The hell else did you say? Jesus Christ, I saved your flask. I thought you were going to be the easiest one to talk about. Oh, yeah, all the things you talked about with the Preston video. Um, so many, like, I had to go back and look at it again. You said Norman Fell. That made me laugh. So I watched that, saw him. You've pointed out the ELO guy, which I did see him. He looked familiar, but pretty positive you're right. That's who that was. So many uh, legends in that song. So I also looked up. I wanted to hear George Harrison's version of it, but Billy Preston also sang that song. Maybe the '70s. I'm guessing the '70s. So I'm wondering, which I should have done the research on, wondering who wrote that and who. I'm gonna have to go look that up after I get done with this. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you pointed out all that stuff. You said you didn't like the Depeche Mode guy that was playing the guitar and singing. I didn't pick up on that. I thought he was pretty good. Maybe I'll watch it again. But both of those videos, I'll say this: fucking positive energy. It is so good. I have very little of it, very little, because there's not there's not a lot of positive, especially living by yourself. but being around positive people and energy is fucking contagious. That Preston video, at one point, I fucking wanted to be there so bad. And in the Depeche Mode one, they were so into it. There was such great crowds in both of them. And what else? Oh, as far as Billy Preston goes, I mean, I'm talking so much. I said to myself, if that was church, because that's kind of a churchy song. It's and forever I thought that was My Sweet Love, but it's My Sweet Lord. And he's talking to the Lord. Like, that's such a great church song. If I went to church and stuff like that happened every week, I would seriously go to church if that was the environment. Jay, as far as your oh, we got a couple things we got to talk about. The Letterman thing, I noticed what you said, but sometimes they did. It was Letterman, but they would have a band playing from via satellite from somewhere else. Maybe that's what was going on there. Unless he just had a really different studio. I haven't watched Letterman in years, even before he was done. Just wasn't a huge fan of him. He talked about fucking 11 minutes. Talked about Bumpy Mead. Bumpy's real name was Gerald. Gerald Mead. He had a brother named Gary. So it was Gary and Jerry. But I only heard a couple of people call him Gerald. Anyone even call him Jerry. And I don't know how we got the name Bumpy. He was always he was a dick. He was like a DeProspero, cocky. Never was a big fan of Bumpy. Just kind of a shithead. Of course, the story of Don might know this is like Bumpy had a huge cock. Fucking whipped it out one time in the Commons in front of Damage and Klaczynski. Damage has such a great story about that. He just whipped out his dick walking down the hall by the Commons, and he said, as he whipped it out and says, "What's up, fellas?" Just fondling his cock. Mark said it was such a big dick. And I also heard, because Bumpy played football, stories where Bumpy used to was a fucking hard hitter, which I could see that because he's kind of a dumb fuck. Like, I feel like he probably had a really hard head, not a cock head, but some regular. Anyways, he was kind of a dick, big dick bump. So, Jesus Christ, so much for showing this to the girls. But yeah, his name is Gerald. Another quick story. I mean, it's the longest video ever. I know I've talked about this before. Mom used to hang around with a woman named Sandy Rizzio. She was kind of fucking back in the day. We're talking early '80s. Before a MILF, she was a fucking MILF, Sandy Rizzio, and she had two kids, Lenny and Scootsy. Mom babysat them one summer for a couple weeks. Lenny and Scootsy. They were Sandy Rizzio's kids, and I don't know if it was Lenny or Scootsy. What a fucking great name, Scootsy. I got to know one better than the other. And I remember being at Bell Road, and that's when that kid played with Bumpy, and they found out his name was Gerald, and they used to make fun of me, Gerald, because, I mean, Gerald's a great name, but as a kid, back then, that wasn't very common. They made fun of it. But he was still Bumpy. But I don't know how the fuck he was Bumpy. He was Bumpy. It's just shit conversation. He was Bumpy as a little kid, so maybe it must be a fucking family thing. I don't fucking know. Gives a fuck. Anyways, that's all I got. What's going on? I think, wow, again, this might be a 20-minute video. I was at Mom and Dad's yesterday. I just stopped in. They were sitting out in the garage. And, oh, yeah, they started talking about, why'd they start talking about? Oh, I think Kevin said something to Jim about Diane Brockway not doing well. Jim must have said something to Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad said to me, like, her Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever the heck it is that she has is really bad. Like, really bad. And, which is so sad. Like, I feel like Alzheimer's way more prevalent now than ever. I don't get it. And so they're talking about her, and how did this happen? Mom says something about, yeah, I feel so bad. We saw them. We saw them at the horse lighting, and she said she's losing her mind, and she literally said to Mom, she's losing her mind. And she goes, I go, have you guys talked to Brock lately? And Mom goes, no, we haven't. But she looks at